Brad Cooper is always getting into trouble on General Hospital, but he always seems to find a way out of it. The schemer was introduced back in May of 2013 and has always been played by actor Perry Shen. However, after a really terrible scheme sent him to prison, he's only made sporadic appearances since. A lab technician at General Hospital, Brad was promoted to lab manager with the help of his friend, Drive Britt Westbourne, so he could help her doctor some results to help her get her claws into Dr. Patrick Drake. Brad had the hots for nurse Felix Dubois and tried to get Michael Corinthus to sleep with him in exchange for keeping quiet about his kissing Kiki Jerome. Brad finally confessed his feelings to Felix, but then Patrick slugged him for helping Britt lie about her baby. After a fight with Felix, Brad got drunk at the Floating Rib and bonded with Lucas Jones. Brad revealed that his father is Kim Woo, a former mobster in Port Charles, and that his mother died giving birth to him. Brad and Lucas spent the night together, but later Brad made up with Felix. He was torn between the two men, but ultimately Brad ended up with Lucas. Brad and Felix weren't meant to be. Howard Wise/JPStudios.com. Having helped Britt get pregnant with Dante and Lulu's stolen embryo, Brad was tempted to confess, and to keep him quiet, Britt's mother, Lisa Lobrecht, threatened him at knife point and threw him off a turret at Windermere during a party. Eventually, the truth about Britt's baby came out and Lucas wanted nothing more to do with Brad. After Lucas was shot, both Brad and Felix both competed to be at his bedside, but in the end, Lucas forgave Brad and they reconciled. The pair moved in together and Brad popped the question to Lucas at the nurses' ball, but it was then revealed they couldn't tie the knot because he was already married to Rosalie Martinez. Brad confessed they'd gotten hitched years ago because they witnessed a crime and didn't want to have to testify against each other. Eventually, Brad was able to arrange a divorce and he and Lucas were finally married on June 13, 2016, at Julian and Alexis' home. Lucas was a good influence on Brad, but he still couldn't avoid the occasional scheme, such as when he took revenge on Drive Hamilton Finn by changing his drug tests to indicate that the recovering addict was still using. The two eventually made peace and Brad focused on his marriage as the couple made plans to adopt. Brad went to extremes to make sure Lucas had the family of his dreams. ABC. Brad and Lucas were overjoyed when they were finally selected by a mother to adopt her newborn baby, but tragedy struck when Brad was home alone with the infant and Wiley died in his crib. On the way to the hospital, a distraught Brad pulled over and was approached by Nell Benson, who had just given birth to Michael's son. She offered to swap babies, and Brad agreed, bringing home a live baby so Lucas would be none the wiser as Nell claimed her child was stillborn. Brad panicked when the birth mother expressed second thoughts about giving up her baby. He appealed to Julian Jerome for help, telling him the whole story except claiming he got the baby from a homeless woman. Julian visited the birth mother and convinced her to back off. Maintaining the lie became more difficult for Brad as Lucas selected Michael to be Wiley's godfather, and school teacher Willow Tate was revealed to be the birth mother of the baby they'd originally adopted. Brad looked for support in the organization Dawn of Day, but not only did it turn out to be a cult, the leader of the group, Shiloh, turned out to be Wiley's father. When Shiloh learned that he had a son out there, he immediately set out to get custody of the boy, but he ended up dead. But Brad wasn't out of the woods because Obrecht still knew the truth, and when Julian learned where the baby actually came from, he no longer wanted to help keep the secret. In fact, He tried to get Brad out of his son's life by making it seem like he was having an affair and then cutting the brake line on his car. Brad was finally forced to come clean about his heartbreaking lie. xjjohnson/jbstudios.com. Unfortunately, just as Brad finally confessed the truth about Wiley to Lucas, they were in a terrible car accident. Brad felt terribly guilty about causing everything, and Julian hoped his part in the crash wouldn't come to light. When Lucas finally came out of his coma, Brad was relieved that he didn't remember anything from the night of the crash, but very soon the memories came flooding back and Brad's baby swap was exposed. Confronted, Brad tried to steer the blame towards Nell and also decided not to expose Julian's role in the cover-up before he was arrested and taken away by the cops. But once behind bars, he found Nell claiming he was the one who stole her baby. Brad threatened to reveal Julian's part in the scheme but agreed to keep quiet in exchange for Julian hiring an attorney to get him off scot-free. Unfortunately, Sonny threatened Brad's life if he didn't plead guilty, so when he went before the judge, he stunned his attorney by taking the blame. Britt returned to Port Charles to support her best friend, but Brad seemed resigned to his fate and was willing to go to prison if it meant not facing Sonny's wrath. After being shipped off to Pentonville in March 2020, Brad wasn't seen again until November when he was wheeled into the emergency room after being violently stabbed by another inmate. While recovering, Brad tried to talk to Lucas but Britt was the only one willing to help him. He feared that Cyrus Renault wouldn't stop until he was dead, so Britt asked Jason to intervene and get Brad protection in prison. Brad returned to the hospital for a follow-up visit in February 2021 and was dismayed to see Lucas and Felix making plans together, but he still had Britt on his side. Stay tuned to GH to see what happens next. Love GH? Be sure to join our We Love General Hospital Facebook group to chat about all the latest storylines and juicy gossip. Ad block test, why?